Hello everyone, my name is tgspy, project lead for Fallout the Frontier, and this will be the first in a series of videos I do where I do a playthrough of the Frontier from the perspective of the lead developer. I'll be taking you guys on a trip through all three of the main quests. I'll be giving you guys lots of little behind the scenes pieces of information, how development went, what things do what, how things work, and all that, and give you my general thoughts on the Frontier as a whole. So we're starting here, obviously, in the Frontier NCR makeshift outpost, and we're going to go talk to Gray to begin with.
Whoa, hold it right there, stranger. State your name and business. The courier? Ain't you that courier fella? The real courier? Ah, alright. So, you're here to sign up for a tour of the Frontier? Then I hope you are prepared for all of the risks. The Frontier is a very unforgiving environment. Alright, talk to Lieutenant Gray in the tent. He'll get you sorted. Hey, Quinn, ain't that useless jesterhead in Baker Company calling himself the courier? Has a scar on his dome, too?
Yeah, told everyone he was famous or something. Last time I checked, the only thing he was good at was scrubbing the floors.
Side note, that is probably one of my favourite pieces of dialogue in the entire MUD, just because of the way the voice actor enunciated it. It is hilarious. Small tidbit, that interaction between Johnson and the player was actually reworked slightly before release, so that it was slightly less absurd. It was originally a little sort of too accepting of the player being this legend, and so the new version just makes it a little less sort of on the nose. And it also removes a very silly interaction between these two that now only happens in Wild Wasteland. So let's go talk to Gray.
Yes? Really? Well, I might just hit my daily quota after all. I'm curious. You're obviously not one of these brain-dead grunts, or your typical merc. Why would you want to go to the Frontier? Why fight for us?
So Gray actually got a full relook slightly before release, because we realized that Gray was a little too non-unique. He was a bit too generic with the general look that he had, so we decided to give him his own custom face, his own custom beard and such, and his own custom armor, and he looks a lot better compared to the original Gray that we had, and I really do like the remake.
It might be fun and all, but be
Now, if
forewarned.
you're watching this playthrough to read all of the dialogue, then I am not the playthrough to be watching, because I've read this dialogue far too many times.
Fire away. Figuratively, that is. Keep in mind.
What can I expect out there? So I'm just going to skip through all this. That's all I've got for now. Originally, some of the dialogue that Gray had here was sort of discussing the fact that Gray didn't really know who Blackthorn was, but when we got the voice acting done, we reworked a lot of the dialogue for Gray in this opening section so that it made it out that Gray and Blackthorn obviously did know each other from the cutscene coming up. Yep, bring on the caps. Which gun? Originally, there was no laser or energy option, but we added that slightly before release because we realized that, some people would probably want to play with an energy weapon.
Good.
But
Regardless.
I always play with a ramshackle. So, let's put my stuff on. Okay. Lovely. Sit down, ride the truck to the Frontier. I'm going to play in mercenary mode. Now, this introduction is actually iteration 2 or 3 of the original introduction of the Frontier. Originally, you would actually go to the Mojave Outpost, where you would join up at one of the NCR headquarters there, and you would be taken on a trip to a world space
It's going to be a long trip.
that is now used for a later section of the NCR main quest as a flashback, and you would go there and you would fight the Legion sort of as an introduction, and there would also be another world space where you'd have to sort of stop a a gang of scavs from ambushing you at a checkpoint. Both of those were cut as an introduction, simply because it extended the length of time before you got to the frontier by a considerable, like half an hour or more. Now, I'm not really in the mood for a long story, so I'm going to skip that.
Ray,
Sir.
this is where you're getting off. I have a new task for you.
Yes, sir.
Quinn, John, you two as well. And you. I heard you're the Kurt. Interesting. Yup.
So Ray Chase actually reached out to us with regards to voicing Rancor in the Frontier. He reached out to us via email quite a few years back and essentially said, hey, I'd like to offer you my services pro bono because I really love the mod and I really love Fallout. And so we worked with him for quite a few years, just going back. If it ever reaches your ears, thank you very much for your considerable patience. We had to do a lot of retakes and a lot of redos as dialogue changed and as we missed sections of dialogue because we were initially very sloppy. Let's just say that. So, yeah. But Ray Chase is a fantastic voice actor, and I'm super happy that we can have him on the Frontiers voice cast. Fun little tidbit. Originally, this intro was a lot brighter and a lot sunnier. We used to use a sort of bright, sunny blue sky for this introduction, but we've long since changed it to this snowing environment, which unfortunately does sort of kill performance a little bit. One of the unfortunate factors of working in an engine that's, 2 decades old at this point. You sort of have to work with what you've got. So the first thing I am actually going to do is sensibly go to the armorer, the quartermaster, and grab myself some more ammo, because this next section will be difficult without a lot of ammo. That is a piece of feedback we've heard pretty regularly, that there is not enough ammo in the Frontier. I'm going to turn down the music a little bit, because the Frontier's music is quite loud. Turn up the voice volume as well.
I'm Quartermaster Gallius, and your sorry ass better not be needing any more ammo. This is what I got.
Alright, so yeah, we have heard everyone's feedback about the lack of ammo in the Frontier, and we have made some corrections for that in an upcoming hotfix. Big thanks to Trusted Toaster and Clanky for that. We've sort of given a lot of the vendors extra ammo to accommodate that. It has been a consistent issue across most of the development of the mods that our ammo sort of supplies are quite difficult to keep track of. We made some perhaps sweeping changes that shouldn't have been needed before release, where enemies ended up with a lot more ammo than perhaps they should have, and so we had to dial it back before the full release, and unfortunately we never really made a full attempt to rework that. We added ammo to all the scavs and vehicles and such to try and sort of pad it out a little bit, but unfortunately it never really took off how we wanted it to. So fingers crossed in the next few months or next few weeks, however long it takes, we can try and do a sort of rework of the ammo situation in the Frontier, just to give everyone a better shot. Now, something people wouldn't have noticed is that there is a billboard here that is clipping. Okay, gonna check that. I'm gonna go talk to Hardcase and Hotshot.
You wouldn't happen to be the courier of the Mojave?
thought so. Cough up, hotshot.
So this is actually the second voice actor for Hardcase. Originally, it was voiced by one of the voice acting power squads. Unfortunately, we don't have contact with that voice actor anymore. We lost that contact many years ago, and so we sort of haven't been able to use his voice. But the voice we have right now is fantastic, really fantastic.
No way this is the courier, man. I'm telling you. I have these special senses.
And of course, it's Daniel Hodge.
No way in hell is this the courier.
Hey, I'm Hardcase, leader of Wolfpack. This asshole here.
So, from my recollection, this sequence of dialogue was written incredibly early on in the Frontier's life cycle. So early on that it was more than likely written by multiple writers, and it has a very different tone to the other writing in the NCR, especially since after Chapter 1, of course, we know Devil's Wish took over all writing for the mod. Yeah.
50 caps this punk can't beat my score. No, scratch that. Make it 100.
You don't even have a bottle cap on you. Hey, why don't you meet us at the shooting course?
This interaction here is probably really the only time that style of writing and dialogue conversation is used in the actual mod. It seems very out of place, in my opinion, but thankfully that was addressed very quickly. So on the weather system, we actually used a DLL base framework for handling the weather, which includes sound and weather effects fade in and out, which is something that most weather mods don't bother with, but ours does, which is really impressive. Big thanks to C6 and CarXT for that, mostly C6. It certainly helps performance, all of it being in a engine DLL plugin. However, of course, the effects themselves can be a bit heavy at times. That's why we provide a sort of a lighter option and our optional downloads on the Nexus if you are struggling with performance in that regard. This is probably iteration 3 or 4 of the snow that we're using. Initial attempts looked very poor compared to this, and this is really gorgeous. It's affected by wind, which is, again, something that most mods don't bother with. It's very impressive all around, and kudos goes to Way Jason for the fantastic work on that. Now, the reason that they do this sort of stupid pathing thing is because this entire runway is set up with preferred pathing, which is an option in the NavMesh generation that forces NPCs to stick to that path as sort of their preferred path, I say in air quotes, where they will attempt to always follow that path so as to, not run themselves off of roads and stuff like that. Super useful for caravans, not always useful for NPCs that need to sort of get to a destination quickly. Now, of course, we're going to grab the Pip-Boy 2000 because it's pretty. Here we go.
There you are. When you...
Great. Now, I will not do the shooting course because I hate the shooting course. This is an option that I added a few months before release because initially you would be forced into doing the shooting course, but for people who are doing return playthroughs or really didn't want to do the COD style shooting course, we provide the option to skip it outright.
I can see you are a promising soldier. I think you will be fine out here.
Wow, this is so insulting. You actually thought this dude was gonna beat my score? This is the legendary courier we've been hearing so much about? Fuck. The NCR is so fucked.
1 second. This is Hardcase. Yes. Roger that. Yes, sir. I just got word that you've been assigned to Corporal Henderson's squad. They want you to report to the command hangar immediately. You better hustle up. You will be briefed on the current situation here. I'll see you around. Good luck out there.
Yeah, yeah. See you later, asshole.
Great. So we're going to continue along. This was the Legion guy that would talk to you, sort of, if you're doing a Legion playthrough. We added him shortly before release, specifically because we wanted players who were doing the Legion run through to realize or be made aware that they need to continue playing the NCR. It is something we would like to rectify in the future. It was the unfortunate reality that changing out the start for the Legion unfortunately would have been quite difficult. Why? I don't know. But unfortunately we realized that a little too late into development, and there was some initial backlash against redoing it simply because we didn't really want to try and debug that, because it can take quite some time to sort of figure out all the different paths and stuff that need to be changed. Regardless, we're going to continue. I'm going to go to the HQ. Custom building with no windows. I did that. Sorry, no, I shouldn't brag. What else is in here? No, nothing of interest.
All right, boys and girls, welcome to the frontier. If there's such a thing as hell, this is it. Now, let's get to it. Your first mission is to place landmines on Burnside Bridge.
What? I signed up to fight the Legion.
I didn't say you could talk, Private. Setting up a good defensive perimeter is vital. The best offense is a good defense. With that street mind, the Legion should think twice about using it to attack us. And remember, we're not in the surrendering business. You let one go, he'll come back and kill your buddies. Your squad mates are your brothers and sisters here, and they matter more than those fuckers in red. Once you finish with that, report back to HQ for your next job. If you're worried this is a cakewalk, don't worry. Things are only going to get a whole lot harder from here on out. Corporal Henderson will be your CO for today. You're in his hands now. Good luck out there.
I am Corporal Henderson, and your sorry asses are mine today. Stick close to me, keep your heads down, and you'll be dandy. Our forces will be engaging the Legion at Bravo Point, so with any luck, we can plant the mines without being detected and be back in time for chow. Any questions? No. Good. Grab your gear. Meet at the rendezvous. Let's get this show on the road.
Great. So let's continue. Okay. Sometimes you have to sort of come in and out to make sure that these guys actually get through the door properly. And them running into things is just an unfortunate engine issue. You can't really do much with that. Also stuff like that. Yeah, it's really dumb, but it happens. You just gotta let them figure their problems. Yeah, they're pretty bloody stupid sometimes. I'll figure that out. There we go, that's much better. It just kills performance, unfortunately. And you've got the Mike Burnfire, a little cameo there, which we quite enjoyed. Gotta give a big shout out to Mike Burnfire for obviously doing the cameo like that, and also being a supporter of the mod in general. I've really enjoyed his playthrough. We're going to get accosted by Esther.
Do you know how many bags of salt it takes to see the ground? Wow, who pissed in your coffee? Jeez. Fine. The war is taking a toll on my employers, the Crusaders, and we need some fresh blood. Forget any bullshit the missionaries sell. Here's a location.
So the reason that Esther is there at all and why she disappeared is a known issue that we fixed in a hotfix. The reason that she's there at all is because we didn't really have a way to introduce the players to the Crusaders, and we were initially going to go through with a sort of a radio message or a note that gets added to the player's Pip-Boy, but we felt they would be a little bit intrusive, and so we provided sort of a lore-friendly option just to get the players introduced to the Crusaders and give them the option to go straight to the Crusaders' main quest. That way they don't have to worry about, you know, finding their way to the other side of the map to go and see the Robco Tower, which is a major issue. And it's just an unfortunate reality of where the player starts. You know, you drop them right in the middle of the NCR airport and they have to find their way out to the Robco Tower or out towards Ostia.
Keep your eyes peeled. We're out of the
So initially, because Goose Hollow, which is over there obviously, was a abandoned town that had nothing in it at all, as soon as you exited the gate, Henderson would do his little spiel about being out of the safe zone. Obviously, we've now moved it to over here where it makes sense, and it wasn't for a while until we actually had that change been made. Having Goose Hollow there is a fantastic way to sort of give some civilianness to the NCR, because unfortunately I don't really have much. It's something we would like to try and maybe do, is see if we can get some more sort of friendly NCR civilian stuff going. Plenty of good scav towns, you know, Irvington, other ones that I can't remember because I'm terrible. But regardless, hopefully we can do some more stuff for the NCR at that point. Please stop getting stuck.
They're animals. Every single one of them. Don't you forget it.
The music changing in this area is actually a massive nuisance to me. We will be changing that in a future patch because I don't think it fits. And we'll be doing some considerable work to the music to sort of bring it up to a standard that we want now that we have a fantastic team of composers who are already doing some really fantastic work for us.
Over there. Speak of the devil. I don't think they've seen us yet. Osmo, Hopper, flank left. First shot's yours, Six. Make it fast.
You're not getting away with this!
If anything, this just proves I'm a terrible shot. As you can see, we've sort of really buffed the amount of stuff you can actually get from scavs, especially in this early mission when there is a hell of a lot of them versus only a few of you. Yeah. No, that's not good. Okay. Ooh. I don't like this. I've never really liked this. Never really liked this little interaction here. It just felt unnecessary, and it has no ramifications on the rest of the game. It just feels like an unnecessary amount of violence, in my opinion. But that's how it goes. I'm guessing, yeah. So it's just the world model of the folding pocket gun. And this is why I recommend getting extra ammo for any of this stuff. Please move. There we go. So funny enough, the sheer number of playtesters we had that would shoot at the upcoming tank here was kind of hilarious. And obviously it didn't really do much. However, an issue we found slightly before release is that players would actually shoot the tank enough that when it was destroyed by the ambush up here, it would actually fall into a loop where the player couldn't repair it properly because it was damaged to a point where the repair wasn't triggering. And so we've had to, we've added fail safes for all that. So that was a big issue for a long time, and I'm glad we figured that out. Yep, okay. If you weren't aware already, this will be a very spoiler-heavy playthrough, and I would not recommend this for people who are watching this for the sake of learning about the main quest in terms of story and stuff, because I will be talking openly and freely about pretty much anything. That light there is using special attach light functions. Originally it was placing and removing lights every single frame, which I don't need to tell you is quite bad. Commonly reported issue is that those scavs that are building up the top there, you can shoot through it. It is a known issue and we will be fixing it.
What's your status, Armor Bearer?
We added a ladder for melee players. You're welcome.
Here, take this thermic lamp.
And also initially some of those dudes could get stuck up there and they would just hide in the corner and they wouldn't be able to oh sorry, epilepsy warming. They wouldn't properly come down, so you couldn't actually shoot them. But we added that just for the sake of that. You'll notice a number of name changes. That comes from Film York's Frontier Weapons tweak, and he's now part of the team. We brought him on to do some work for us and sort of integrated officially into the mods because his work is really great. I do love this gun. It just feels good. The fireworks cannon was a very last-minute addition. I was on the schedule to be updated for quite some time, but we never really got around to it just because we had other things to focus on. Namely, Jack had a lot of other things to focus on. But they're really, really fantastic, and he did an amazing job with them. Super, super impressed with them. And of course, they all have little projectile lights, which is very cute. We're going to continue anyway. Now, people have noticed a pretty serious issue that the howitzers can sometimes shoot behind you. We know, unfortunately, that is a vanilla issue that is not really fixable as far as we're aware. That is not doing enough damage, so I'm going to throw a pipe bomb. There we go. Enjoy. Didn't do enough damage. Alright, I'm gonna hide. So, the frontier is quite difficult, as you can tell, even I'm struggling. And yeah, frame rate really can sort of tank in these areas. I will admit, this first chapter is not my favorite chapter of the mod. It is in fact my least favorite chapter of the entire mod. Alright, let's continue. We are still in the process, of course, of actually replacing all of the icons. Most of the weapons have been done, with the exception of a couple that still haven't been done here. But we are going through them at a pretty decent pace. And we're hoping to have most of those done in the next few months. Oof. Yeah. So yeah, the NCR definitely does play out a lot like a COD campaign, especially with the constant explosions. I do believe initially there was a chance for the Armored Bear to actually die, and it would unfortunately die quite quickly because it would get stuck in some rubble somewhere and couldn't move correctly. But I think that's been removed for quite some patches now, and it's good because it means you can actually progress this mission. A lot of people miss that. I don't see the vertibird, which is I think it's a cool little thing. Again, very COD inspired. This coming section used to be a lot harder. It used to be a lot more ridiculously unbalanced. There would be a lot more vehicles. We changed that to make it a little less insane. Ugh, I am not doing well. Yeah, and so this is what I mean about the ammo problem. It can be pretty difficult at times. Sometimes it really is better to just sit back and not do anything. Yeah. The Scav Rocketeers are never really in as high quantities as they are in this first mission. because they are a really annoying enemy to deal with. Fun. Their weapons are quite fun, but they are a massive nightmare to deal with. And of course our fire is the best fire in any mod ever, because, yeah, why not? Yeah. So the song that's playing right now is one of the songs that will be, that's also what I mean about the howitzers firing at really weird angles. This is a song that will be removed. A lot of these songs that are used pretty much exclusively for the NCR will be removed in coming patches and replaced with new original music. Actual little scorching effects on the armor, which I think is very nifty. And my limbs are crippled as usual, just for something different. There we go. Originally, these scav-treaded buses actually shot rockets instead of the mining bolts that they shoot now. I think the mining bolts are a lot more of a sort of fun little projectile rather than the extremely obnoxious rockets that would make this section an actual nightmare to play against. I believe the damage system is also a little funky at the moment. Working on fixing that because the howitzer is supposed to do extra damage against the vehicles. Apparently that did it there, whatever. One of my biggest personal gripes with the NCR is the fact that it effectively nulligates a good third of the city into a corridor shooter. And it's something we would like to change in the future, because a lot of the city is just unusable, especially for the hard case rescue sequence, where it's all sort of cut off and bizarre. Again, something else we would like to change. Come here, buggy. And yeah, I have noticed people complaining about vehicles sort of climbing things. That's not something we can fix. That is unfortunately a very heavy vanilla bug. I'm not that patient. For the mods I'm using, I probably should have specified at the beginning of this, I'm using just vanilla sprint. I'm using the samurai damage, floating damage thing, which is by Zalandro. I'm also using Darn UI, the Frontier obviously, hotfixes, and a little flying mod, a little jetpack flying mod to make my life easier and get around a little quicker. And that's really it. I tend to run a very sort of stripped down mod list when I'm playing the Frontier because I don't want to overload it.
Returning to base for refueling and repairs.
Was a pleasure serving with you, Armored Bear.
The pleasure was mine. Keep safe.
Will do.
Yeah, so this is another part that I just thought was really unnecessary. It's just a long walk, and it serves no purpose other than to sort of just be there. If people are not aware, the way that the NCR main quest was created was that it was initially created Chapter 1, Chapter 3, Chapter 2, Chapter 4, Chapter 5. So Chapter 1 was the first thing that was done back in early 2015-2016. It was basically the first major portion of the main quest that was completed, and because it was completed around that time, it had very different ideas of what it wanted to be. Initially, it was literally just the NCR and a companion and a few side quests, so it was a lot smaller in scale compared to what we have now, which meant that the NCR could sort of play around however they wanted. And unfortunately, it did result in a very linear first chapter compared to a lot of the other parts of the mods. Chapter 2, Chapter 4, and Chapter 5 to an extent play very differently compared to Chapter 1. That was simply just due to the sort of the way we were trying to plan things at the time. And then Chapter 3 was made after Chapter 1 because we made initial head work on the space station before we started Chapter 2, and so Devil's Wish scripted and did the work on Chapter 3 quite early on, around 2016. It also accounts for the very different styles and the different writing competencies.
You think this was the scabs? Wait. Did you hear that?
In all honesty, the space station could have been its own mini DLC. It is like 3 or 4 hours.
Report, Private. Why isn't anyone at their post?
We don't know, sir. We were out on patrol and found the post abandoned when we returned. We thought it might be a trap, so we hid and waited for reinforcements.
Who's your CO?
Lieutenant Cromwell, but he disappeared along with everyone else at the post.
Why wasn't any of this radioed in?
Our communications were severed, sir. We couldn't get in contact with anyone.
Something doesn't add up here.
What are you getting at, Hopper?
There are no signs of combat. It looks like they just up and deserted the outpost.
Then we'll make sure they're court-martialed if they're found.
Maybe we should investigate to find out what happened.
We don't have time for that. Our mission is just to plant these mines and get out of here. Now everyone on me. Let's move.
So I'm going to call that the first episode done here. Thanks everyone for watching. I hope you have enjoyed, and I'll try and do as many of these as I physically can, because I do enjoy talking about the sort of inner workings of the Frontier and its development cycle. So yeah, thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you next time.